Well, once again we stand at the same place. It is the place where people are sad that we are losing good developers, but this time, against the odds, layoffs were not involved. But yes, yesterday we got quite the sad news because after 10 years, Mortdog is parting ways with Riot Games. I mean, for the most of TFT's history, Mortdog and TFT has been synonymous. And all you have to do to understand this is to just have a look at the retweets. It is nothing but a cloud of praise, which makes it very obvious that Mortdog has been a very positive influence on TFT. In fact, he has always been seen as the grandfather of TFT. Although, that might be for a slightly different reason than you might think. You see, normally people always imagine one or two people being responsible for a game. While even at the beginning, TFT was a team effort. Yes, the team was very small, but it was a team after all. So no one person should ever get the credit for the entire thing. However, what Mortdog did, and the reason why he became the face of TFT, is the fact that he put himself onto the front lines. He personally took on the feedback and, more importantly, he publicly replied to the feedback and he became the connection between the players and the developers. Now, let's be completely honest. This is a brutal thing to do. And there is a good reason why in the past there were quite a few rioters who had to take a break from the community. And mainly it comes down to two things. First of all, when the community comes after you with harsh feedback, you just have to toughen up. And you have to take it all on. And here it doesn't matter what kind of creative job you have. It doesn't matter if you are a YouTuber, a game developer, or an artist. When someone is a harsh critic of something you made, it is soul-destroying. God forbid you do multiple of these things at once. Jokes aside, Mortdog actually did it too. He also made content on TFT, which technically made him a public figure for TFT. Which then gets us into the second reason why this is difficult. Because if you start being the spokesperson for a dev team, you become the target. It doesn't matter what happens to the game, be it something good or bad. Whenever something happens, it goes directly after you. I mean, this is literally where the Mortdog meme came from. If Mortdog wasn't also a content creator, there is the chance this would never happen. Now, what also helped is that Mortdog jumped onto the feedback train very early on. Right after TFT left the original beta on PBE, Mortdog replied to questions about TFT's future and balancing and what might be happening with sets. Which is how, slowly, he just became the TFT guy. Not to mention that he himself played his own game and he tried to push for Challenger, so he would know what's going on. But did you know that before Mortdog was known as the grandfather of TFT, he actually worked on things you wished were still in League of Legends? So, a bit of a history lesson. Sure, I do admire Mortdog's work on TFT, but truth be told, before his time on the auto-battler genre, he worked on incredible things that will bring up really cool memories. So back in 2012, which was actually 14 years ago, during the time when League of Legends finally started having fun, and they slowly started pushing out game modes, we're talking about Ascension, Doombots, Hexakill, One for All, Nexus Siege, Poro King, as well as many others. All of those were directed by Rowan, formerly known as Riot Latency. Now, Latency was a legendary dev that made some really awesome things happen to League. And among all the really cool game modes, there was also Invasion. Now, what is that? Well, Invasion was the Star Guardian PvE event, which was the very first PvE that ever appeared in League of Legends, where we played as Star Guardians who fought aliens. Good old memories. But eventually, Latency was moved onto Riot Forge, where he helped the team push out all the Forge games. Once again, quite a legendary dev. But since Latency had to move away from the game modes team, the torch had to be passed down and the team pushed out more game modes, and eventually they made Odyssey, which outside of Swarm, which eventually blew it away, was my favorite game mode in League of Legends to date. Odyssey was a PvE extraction, technically, which absolutely nailed what it was going for. And of course, by now you might be aware that eventually, when Odyssey came out, it was directed by Mortdog. That's right, that's Mortdog's origin. But that's not where it really stopped. Because Odyssey came out in 2018 and there was a lot of time till TFT would become a thing. So first, Mortdog also worked on the Butcher's Bridge update. That was during the Burning Tides, which people really liked. And more importantly, Nexus Blitz also happened, which was another big game mode that the casual community loved. And yes, eventually, the game modes team also gave a shot to the auto battler genre, which was turned into TFT, so the entire game modes went to do TFT, and there was no game modes team, that's why we didn't have any more game modes. And then Eduardo happened, and now look at us having a lot of fun in League of Legends. Anyway, that's how Mortdog became the TFT guy, and yes, in case you are not aware, before Mortdog worked at Riot, he actually worked at Nintendo. If you are at least 30 years old, there is a joke you can use here. But this finally takes us to the tweet that Mortdog pushed out yesterday. My time at Riot and TFT as a game designer has come to an end. Just under 10 years, and to be honest, I thought it was going to be longer, but sometimes things change. Now, this first paragraph kinda teases that it definitely wasn't layoffs, but it also seems like it wasn't necessarily his own decision. He likely wanted to stay longer, but he was kinda shown the door, which is not exactly something that people would expect. Now, of course, it would be silly to even try and guess what actually happened, because here, anything is possible. We know that Mortdog was a really hard-working person. From my video where I told people how I wrote some lore for TFT, you might also remember the part where we got to the Riot headquarters at like 6 in the morning and there was Mortdog working alone in an empty office. So that guy has incredible discipline. And even though he's at a break, it's just someone who likes to work. And maybe for that reason it might be difficult to work with him. But the opposite might be also possible. Maybe Mortdog didn't do anything, the leadership wanted to push for some kind of a change. He didn't agree because it was bad or something and then he was let go. It is just no use trying to figure out the truth. All we know is that there was some kind of disagreement. Anyway, the tweet continues. I'm so grateful for what I was able to be a small part of and enabled to accomplish in the last decade. It's been a dream career and I have got to do so much thanks to Riot. Even trying to list it all feels insane what I managed to do in this time. And the crazy 7 years on TFT where I got to design, balance, teach, lead and more for my job, but then also build a community, stream, cast, go to events, it's just been amazing. Ending on stuff like the unlock system and a couple of other things, I'm heading out proud. To everyone I worked with over the years, thank you for letting me be part of everything we accomplished. I hope I managed to teach you something or bring you joy in some way. I genuinely hope our paths cross again in the future. To everyone who supported TFT or me over the years, you have no idea what it means to me. I cherish all the moments over the years and they will keep me going. I am so blessed to have been part of your lives and thank you for letting me bring some fun into your world. Now, when it comes to this part, yes, Mortdog actually accomplished a lot during his time on TFT alone. And these 7 years probably changed him as a person. Which is what then transitions into a bit of a teaser. So, what's next for me? I'm trying to figure that out. First off, since I was on a sabbatical, I am terrible at relaxing, not working. I've been making my own small indie game. I am about 2 months into development and have already had folks playtesting some early builds. I'd say the game is like 20 or 30% done, but my goal is to release it as a full game. It's been fun keeping my skills sharp in a different space, and I hope to share it with you all someday. Beyond that, I am keeping my eyes open for other opportunities. I've had a few conversations here and there already during my sabbatical. It is a brutal industry right now, so I'm taking one day at a time and figuring out what's next for me. Whether it's working on another studio's game or even my own thing. And I'd love to find a space to do some content creation and be able to share my knowledge of game development. But that may take some time to figure out how to do it right. So, Mortdog is making his own game, huh? To be honest, I do believe that is probably the right way forward in today's industry. Time and time again, it kinda gets proven more that indie games are going harder than most AAAs these days. Although, as an indie, you do have to fight a lot more competition. Meaning that when you go indie, you have to be confident your game is good. I mean, look at me! I'm also working on my own game called Funus, wishlisted right now on Steam. And so, I'm actually excited for what Mort is going for. Now, what's also interesting to mention is that Mort was on sabbatical, then he came back to Riot being on break, and after the break ended, it seems like he was let go. So it's possible that there was some kind of a decision happening at Riot, which he didn't agree with, so he went onto sabbatical, the decision was still going through, and he didn't like it, or he was pushed out. Again, none of this is certain, it is all just a big tinfoil hat theory. And since all of this would be getting personal, I don't think it's any of our concern. From personal experience, I have to say that any interaction that I have ever had with Mortdog was pretty cool. Even during my time where I did the TFT thing, it was nothing but a good time. I loved chatting with him about game design in general, which is why, ultimately, it is sad to see this happen. However, remember a very important thing. Mortdog is not dead. He is just not working at Riot anymore. So as you go through all the posts, remember there is a big difference there. And so instead of mourning Mortdog, how about we encourage him for the future, huh?